Oh, it is Friday, and another Friday brings another gun control announcement. We have got to talk about something, people of the Second Legacy. Tim and I are here. We have got to talk about something that went down in New Jersey. However, this is a little bit deeper, and there's a little bit more nuance than what's initially being reported, and that's what we're going to break down right now. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We would love to have you help the channel grow, and we are diving into this, and we can't wait to hear what you guys think in the comments field about this instance. Now, the content today is brought to you by LAS Concealment. We're going to say a quick word, and then we're going to hit this. And the content today is brought to you by LAS Concealment. And if you're in the market for a holster for your favorite freedom tool, LAS Concealment is worth a look. They have everything that you could imagine, all molded from Kydex to your said freedom tool. Everything is fit directly to that model for a superior comfort and safety. They have inside and outside the waistband options, multiple designs, all sorts of different colors, and they are tested by the world's most elite special forces. Make sure you check it out. There's a link in the description box below, and thank you so much to LAS Concealment for making this content possible. All right, we have got another situation, Tim, this time coming out of New Jersey, and again focusing on this pesky little idea to sue gun manufacturers out of existence. But before we get into that, how are you? It's Friday. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm still in the hotel room, as you can see from the backdrop here. It's not my new studio. It's, you know, I'm not going for the hotel look. But
You're not? Oh.
No. And we survived. It made it up to, I think, 107 or 108 degrees yesterday. We were outside filming with Primary Arms, and it was good. But I did survive. But the only reason I survived is because I got new shades.
Oh, not only are you knowledgeable, you look fly.
Isn't that cool? These are beautiful, frameless little Oakleys.
Oh, yeah.
I've been wanting to try a pair of these, found them, and I think I'm going to wear them the entire video.
No, you know what? That's okay. We can Ray Charles this. I'm down. I mean,
All right.
I mean, that is frameless freedom right there. That's what that looks like
Let's
to me.
hit the NASCAR races.
Oh, man. Not the NASCAR races. Well, not to disparage those, because driving in a circle and turning left is fun. Let's move right along, Tim, because we've got some situations to go through, but I'm glad you have new glasses.
I love them.
So, you know what we're going to talk about, people of the Second Legacy today, is something that came out of New Jersey. Mr. Producer, this is number one. Appeals Court dismisses challenge to New Jersey gun liability law. Now, Tim, one of the things we've been seeing a lot from gun controllers is this pesky little notion that if they can't get their legislation and they can't get their gun control and abolition of the Second Amendment, they're just going to sue them out of existence, aren't we? Across the board.
Yeah, and there's actually a federal law that is supposed to prevent such things because this is nothing new, right? They can't get things done legislatively, and they can't do it through executive fiat, so then they start with the court systems, and they just file frivolous lawsuits using, guerrilla tactics to basically bankrupt companies. So, and this worked against Remington, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so the law, the federal law protects these manufacturers from, liability. But what they're doing is finding holes in this law, and they're attacking them for various different reasons. In the case of Remington, it was because of how they marketed their firearms. And so, they'll drag these things out for years and millions of dollars, and ultimately it can have an effect. And it certainly had an effect on one of the largest gun manufacturers in the United States.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, Tim, this is pure coincidence. You know how we love coincidences over here.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pure coincidence that they're the exact same time, or the day before this drops, rather, a big lawsuit around people who were near a tragedy is dropped by Everytown for Gun Safety to reconstitute what is a victim of gun violence who can sue the manufacturers. I'm sure it was not, there's no strings here. It's like Pinocchio.
No, it's not like they do things like that. Never.
No, they wouldn't.
They don't do things to get into the headlines, to push other things out of the headlines. No. That never happens. That's conspiracy stuff.
Are you implying that they are manipulating through their actions and the law system, lawfare, if you will, manipulating the media to do the marketing for them in order to pre-run decisions they know are coming out the next day? Are you?
I would never say that.
Is that your accusation, sir? Oh my gosh, you are.
Do you believe in Bigfoot, dude? Seriously, come on.
I mean, I'm not going to rule it out.
It's not a conspiracy. Not everything's a conspiracy.
I'm not going to rule it out. I mean, I kind of want Bigfoot to exist, just to be like, oh, who saw that coming? But you know what? I'm gonna stay in the unknown camp on this one.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably a good place to be. It's ride that fence. Fence sitting is a great sport in the United States.
Fence sitting on Bigfoot, it's fully endorsed. But let's break this down. You know what, Tim? I'm going to show you what's going on here, and I look forward to your thoughts. Mr. Producer, this is number 2. Let's check this out. A federal appeals court on Thursday dismissed a lawsuit challenging a New Jersey law that creates a pathway for the state to sue the gun industry. A 3-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit ruled the lawsuit brought by the National Shooting Sports Foundation, a firearm industry trade association, was filed too early. The group challenged the law before enforcement began. Now, there's a huge key right there, Tim. It's about timing.
Yes. So I would imagine a lot of people, like when I first read the headline on this, I was like, oh boy, really? Are they really going to do this? Then I read the actual article and I realized what was going on. Mm-hmm. And there's really nothing going on with this just yet. Yes, they did have a new law passed in Jersey that does say that they can sue gun manufacturers liability, right? Go after the whole liability thing. In direct conflict with the federal law that says you can't do that. But what the court is not saying is that you can do this. What the court is saying is, NSSF, you don't have standing, you don't have injury, you don't have anything. This is premature, right? So
yeah, 100%. And I think that's something that's incredibly important to dive into, because while you can look at the headline and you can say, I am pissed and I am infuriated that the appeals court would do this, look what they're doing. And this is an important thing I think that we need to address in the gun world a lot more frequently, quite honestly. The headline says one thing. When you look at what actually happens here, it has a completely different outcome. Like you said very well, the court is not saying that the PLCAA doesn't apply. The court is not saying it is a constitutional law. What the court is saying is you did it too early, it hasn't been enforced yet, which I covered on my video last night. That's interesting because that's exactly what the judge said in San Jose around the insurance mandate. Well, you can't stop it because it's not enforced. So what the gun controllers have done is they pull their laws from enforcement while it's in a court system, and they say, well, it's not enforced, there's no injury. And the judge goes, yeah, we can't do anything until you enforce it, but when they enforce it, come on back. That's exactly what's happening here. It's timing. Yeah. It's not saying they're right, it's timing.
Yep, they're getting the law on the books, and then they're going to sit on it until they feel the time is right.
Right, exactly. And so here's another excerpt from what the judge says, number 3. But we see little evidence that enforcement is looming. Because the foundation has jumped the gun, its challenge must be dismissed. Circuit Judge Stefanos Bibas, a Trump appointee, wrote for the panel. The law, which was passed last year, enables New Jersey's Attorney General to sue entities that manufacture, distribute, sell, or market gun-related products if they contribute to a public nuisance. Again, very broad, very manipulative, but it's not enforced. It's not actually in play, so the court's like, well, I can't do anything.
Right. And that's how our court systems work, right? So anytime people say, well, why don't we take this to the courts? Why don't we take that to the courts? An example of that would be the NFA, right? You need injury. You need the state or somebody to injure you, and then you have standing. Then you can go into a court and look for relief. So that's just the way our judicial system works. So we have to wait. Yes, they can pass these laws. Yes, it's a gross violation of federal law that is protecting these manufacturers from liability, such cases and liability. And it's just, like I said earlier, man, it's just them passing this sucker, getting it on the books, and they're just going to sit on their hands until they go, aha, now it's the time to strike, because they think, maybe the courts are going to favor them in some way. They're going to wait for some appointments or something. Who knows what they're doing? But it's definitely calculated, and they knew what they were doing. They had to know what they were doing is going to be in defiance of federal law.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you look in the background on this, why it even got to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, check this out. Mr. Producer, this is number 4. The trade association filed the lawsuit in November before New Jersey's law went into effect, and a federal district judge blocked the legislation in a preliminary decision. It was already blocked as unconstitutional in violation of the PLCAA. The Third Circuit just says there's no injury. This is something that I think we need to adjust a little bit in our gun world, Tim. I mean, we can set up camp on this if you want to, but when we're going through breaking decisions and we're going through anti-gun actions, there's no question anti-gun advocates are going to infringe the Second Amendment. That's a constant. We know that's going to happen. But it's how we respond and how we look at what's actually happening to see our next moves. That's the important piece. I mean, I think that's, this, you could easily make a video on this and say, the world is ending. Third Circuit Court of Appeals says New Jersey's constitutional Second Amendment is done in New Jersey. I mean, you could easily do the world is falling approach, but that's simply not what's happening here. And I'm not calling anybody out on it. because I haven't seen that. I'm just saying the potential is there, but this is what's really happening.
And we've seen that in the past, right? And, it chasing the clicks or whatever and just trying to be the first sometimes, whatever it is, sometimes you can get things a little bit wrong. And you always have the option to, post an update, right? And that's kind of the problem with dealing with breaking news stories. You don't always have all the information when the first goes out on the wire. And then when you have a few hours pass, those stories routinely change. And then a few days later, they can change again. So we just have to be, as, 43 President Bush would famously say, you got to have some strategery. Right? You got to be strategic in this. And so you have to look at everything, pick your battles, look carefully at what they're trying to do. And look, I've made mistakes. We all have, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But again, we can only respond to what we have information on. And in this case, it's pretty clear. Yes, if you just read the headline, I was angry when I first read the headline. Then I dove into the article. And I'm like, oh man, this is a nothing burger. I don't even know why this is being reported on. This is nothing.
Right.
This is just standard court procedure based on U.S. law and how our judicial system works. So yeah, we just got to be very strategegy.
Yes, strategery. And we have to wear really cool glasses. Frameless freedom.
Oh, yeah, frameless. Yeah, these are the bomb. I mean,
you look good.
The lady at the toll booth is going to ask for my phone number. I know it. Sorry, honey.
I mean, you know what? It's okay. It's okay because I understand those glasses look that good.
Yeah, I know.
But here's some more evidence. God, you got me with the glasses, man. Here's some more evidence to what we're discussing. Oh, Ray Charles, and that was a good one. Number 5, Mr. Producer. So this is some backstory here, Tim. The judge ruled New Jersey's law was preempted by a federal statute passed in Congress in 2005 that protects the gun industry from liability while others misuse their products. The Trade Association had also raised the Second Amendment and other constitutional challenges in their lawsuit, but the judge did not weigh in on their claims, and this is the piece that's so interesting. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin, major anti-gunner, by the way, appealed to the Third Circuit, and the panel agreed the lawsuit was brought too early. So there again, it's about timing, not about constitutionality. That's a big piece of this. And in fact, the judge who wrote from the Third Circuit, he had some more evidence to this point. This is number 6. Pre-enforcement challenges are unusual. To bring one, the plaintiff must show that the stakes are high and close at hand. Normally, that means constitutional rights are at issue. Those rights are threatened by significant penalties, and those penalties might well be imposed, as shown by past enforcement in similar situations or some other evidence of the threat, Bibas wrote. Again, they're saying the exact same thing here.
Yeah.
There's no direct injury, so we can't let this go through. But they opened the door. I mean, literally, all you got to do is zoom out, and you can see that the gun controllers, while they have built these little bona fides gun laws, like this is an example of, they've painted themselves in a corner because the lawsuits come out and the judges say, well, we can't go forward because it's not enacted. And then that puts them in a corner to where it's like, well, are we going to enact it and go right back, or are we just going to sit on it and say we're awesome? To me, that's kind of the way I look at this.
Yeah, I would agree. And what they're talking about, this is an extreme example, right? It's just something I came up with off the top of my head. But an extreme example would be, let's say they passed a law saying shoplifters will be shot on sight. Well, that means that the court has to intervene because if that's allowed to stand, somebody could be injured, right? Even though that hasn't happened yet, they would have to intervene to stop that from being implemented. In this case, we're talking about stopping potential lawsuits from being filed. We have plenty of time if somebody brings one of these lawsuits for them to say, okay, we're going to take this to the Third Circuit and then we're going to see what they have to say because this is ridiculous. This is in violation of federal law. Now you have standing. They can intervene. It never gets acted upon. You stop it in the courts before it ever goes, any further. And so that's what the judge is kind of saying here. Like, there's no imminent threat to anybody's, rights or anything currently, so we're just going to have to wait until there is, unfortunately.
Right. And a good example would be Philadelphia right now. They passed the ability to sue gun manufacturers, and then they went after 3 of them. Well, now NSSF is actually in the action of suing them for that action because they took that action. I mean, it's all about the actual action that they've taken against citizens. That's the important piece.
Right.
Of course, it's unconstitutional, to your point. I'm not saying that it's not. But for the judge to strike it down, it's got to be hurting somebody directly in the case before them. So, to this point, here's what the SVP of NSSF said, who actually authored the PLCAA. Number 7, sir. While we respectfully disagree with the court's decision on our pre-enforcement challenge, it is important to note that the court did not say New Jersey's law does not violate the PLCAA. It clearly does. During oral arguments, the panel appeared to have concerns with the law, as did the district court that enjoined enforcement. Should New Jersey's Attorney General attempt to enforce the law, we will immediately refile our complaint. So that kind of speaks to what we're talking about.
Yep.
The second you do it, we'll see you again, boo. Because
Yep.
they've already got court cases on the docket. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I see it. I don't think
Absolutely.
this is a sky falling thing. I think this is we lined up our shot. We're just waiting.
Yep,
That's the way I see it.
That's all this is. And, we'll see how this plays out. I mean, obviously, in New Jersey, they would love to see a case come before the courts that under this new law of theirs, and so they could do something,
Yeah.
right? And they're chomping at the bit, but again, they're sitting on their hands because, especially after this ruling out of the Third Circuit, I mean, this will help us because basically the court just told them, hey, guys, we see a problem here. If you go to enforcement, you're going to wind up in court. And they kind of telegraphed what the decision might be. So they gave a pretty clear warning. This is a shot over the bow to Jersey. And so we're going to see how this all plays out, and we'll follow it. If somebody is dumb enough to bring a suit, game on. It'll be interesting to see, and we'll bring it to you guys.
Tim, it's funny you say that because I've got a last quote for you.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Remember that Matthew Platkin, Attorney General, Democrat, gun controller extraordinaire?
Yeah.
Yeah, he grabbed a microphone. Check this out, number 8, Mr. Producer. We are thrilled that a unanimous Third Circuit panel rejected the challenge to New Jersey's public nuisance law, which allows our office to take on bad actors in the firearm industry. Our law never should have been enjoined, and now it will be back in effect in its entirety. He's playing chicken with the court and what they just said, because he's twisting this to say, see, it never should have been enjoined. They agree it's perfectly fine, even though the entire thing is about timing. And they even
clearly says the exact opposite.
It says the exact opposite. This guy's like, well, we're good. Yeah. Time to sue some people.
Well, you have fun with that, dude. Please bring your suit, because I'm pretty sure I know the outcome of that one.
100%. 100%. But that's kind of what's happening here in New Jersey, Tim. So I think I think it's an important thing to see it as an annoyance, but really a postponement versus a immediate loss. Because it's not a loss. This is not a loss at all. This is just an irritation, to be quite honest.
It's an irritation, and it could be a setup to a great victory, because if they are dumb enough to bring a lawsuit and it gets struck down, now we have precedence, and it just works more against them. And so they're really shooting themselves in the foot by doing this. But hey, shoot away. When your enemy's making a mistake like that, just let them go. Watch them destroy themselves.
Just let them do it. I mean, we're seeing it across the nation in many different instances. The more AR bans they push, the more attention they're getting on themselves. I mean, literally, it is just.
And they're pushing stuff through the courts that's deciding in our favor, and they're just destroying themselves in their arguments. But hey, have at it, man.
Talking.
Yeah, maybe we should start a GoFundMe so we can fund these morons, so we can get these court cases resolved in our favor. And just end
not
it right now.
Not a GoFundMe.
Oh, yeah.
GoFundMe.
What is that?
It will cancel you immediately.
Yeah.
Give, send, go.
Yeah, there you go.
Send, go.
That's the good one. Give, send, go.
There we go. I think that's a good plan. Good plan.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, we will stay on top of this, and if somebody is dumb enough to bring a lawsuit and take it to court, it will be a lot of fun, and we definitely will cover that. If you'd like to be part of our show, we do have a call-in show. There's a link in the video description below. Follow that link and get you signed up. We'll get you on the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.